What's up, everybody? Coming at you from Canada, the true north, strong and free. Today in this video, I'm going to be talking about how we get the simplified classification system. Now, many of you are probably wondering, well, what is the simplified classification system, or SCS for short? Well, the SCS is simply a clear, simple criteria for how we, law-abiding, lawful gun owners here in Canada, would like the government to classify firearms. Right now, the classification system of firearms here in Canada is an absolute disaster. It makes no sense. And with the simplified classification system, SCS, at least with that, we'll be getting back to some more common sense. All right? So the simplified classification system is a proposed law that was drafted by the CSSA. The CSSA is one of the large gun lobbies here in Canada. And the SCS would classify firearms here in Canada based on inherent empirical characteristics, such as function and overall length, instead of the current Liberal government's approach based on fear, wacko politics made for Hollywood. Just based on look. Oh, I think that gun looks scary. Meanwhile, it's no different in function from any other typical firearm. Okay? So, like I said, right now we have an absolute wacko classification system where many firearms here in Canada that are perfectly reasonable for hunting and sporting are prohibited, meaning we can't own them, we can't use them. Okay? So, for example, right now, the FAME SG 542, a semi-automatic 308 rifle, non-restricted. I could take this out, use it for deer hunting, target shooting out in the bush. Same with this Polytechnologies Type 81 rifle in 7.62 by 39mm. And on the end, also non-restricted, a BRS 99 in 9mm. Well, this rifle is functionally identical to the FN FAL in semi-automatic version. Yet the FN FAL is a prohibited rifle here in Canada. Moving right along, if we look at the Type 81, wow, that looks like an AK-47, doesn't it? Well, it's essentially functionally identical to purpose-built semi-auto AKs, yet the AK is prohibited. Wow. On the end, the BRS 99, like I said, non-restricted, yet the Uzi, in its semi-automatic form, prohibited since the early 90s. This certainly doesn't make any sense. What we need is a simplified, common sense classification to get rid of all this baloney wacko politics made for Hollywood and be able to enjoy perfectly reasonable hunting and sporting firearms here in Canada. Okay, so so what would the simplified classification system do? Well, it would maintain the three categories of firearms that we have here in Canada: prohibited, restricted, and non-restricted. For those of you who may not know, prohibited firearms are those firearms we can't own or use here in Canada. Restricted means it's registered and you can only discharge it at an approved target range here in Canada. Can't hunt with restricted firearms, can't bring them out to the bush to target shoot. Last, the least restrictive class of firearm, non-restricted here in Canada. That's what these three guns are. Those you can hunt with and those you can bring out to the farm or the bush and enjoy target shooting with. So what the simplified classification system will do is, you guessed it, simplify classification. So let me read this off real quick, what the proposed SCS would do. So in Canada, if this is adopted, the only firearms that would be prohibited are, get this, machine guns, and any firearm sawed off less than 26.5 inches overall. That's it. Wow. I'm liking the sound of that already. That's the only prohibited firearms. Machine guns and sawed off rifles. Okay? Moving right along. So what would be restricted under the SCS? Any handgun or any firearm that is designed or adapted to be fired when reduced to a length less than 26 inches by folding, telescoping, or otherwise. So basically, handguns and firearms that are quite short. Those would continue to be restricted. And lastly, get this, what would be non-restricted? A firearm that's not prohibited or not restricted. Simply, if it doesn't meet the prohibit category, if it doesn't meet the restricted category, non-restricted. Wow. I would really love to see that come to pass for licensed, law-abiding firearms owners here in Canada. Okay, so how could this become a reality? Well, what it takes is a government passing this into law. And in order to get a government that would pass this into law, first of all, we need a political party here in Canada to take interest in that, to make that promise, and then follow through with it. So the good news for us here in Canada is that there is a political party who has taken interest in law-abiding, licensed firearms owners like myself and millions of other Canadians, and that is the Conservative Party of Canada. The Conservative Party has a party policy declaration, and that's just a document that states, hey, as a party, we subscribe to this and, plan to do these things. It's not a statement that we are going to do that if we win government, but it's basically something, that they say they agree with and align with. It's their party policy. All right. So the Conservative Party of Canada's policy declaration in policy number 127 says, a conservative government would streamline firearms classification by adopting the simplified classification system, just as I read to you. Again, the SCS was drafted and proposed by the CSSA, one of the gun lobbies here in Canada, and the Conservative Party of Canada has thankfully adopted it right into their policy declaration, and I couldn't be more thankful to see that, and especially thankful to our friends in the gun lobby, obviously myself included, who have helped this come to where it is and will continue to help it move forward in the future. Okay, so the Conservative Party of Canada has declared in their policy declaration that they support the simplified classification system. Ready for what's even better? Our leader in the Conservative Party of Canada, Mr. Poilievre, has also promised to implement the simplified classification system when he wins and forms government. That is very, very encouraging. Check out the links in the description of this video. I'm going to post a few different things in there, possibly a video of his promise. Okay, so how can we make this a reality, as lawful licensed gun owners here in Canada? Yeah, it's nice it's in the policy declaration. It's nice that the leader has said he would do that. How can we actually make this happen, though? Well, number one, as licensed law-abiding gun owners here in Canada, join all of Canada's gun lobbies. We have 3 main gun lobbies here in Canada: the CCFR, the CSSA, and the NFA. All 3 are good in my opinion, and I would greatly encourage you to, if you can't join all 3, at least join one. That is a good way to start off. They are a very good voice for gun owners here in Canada, and yeah. So number 2, how can we make this a reality? Write all Conservative Party members of Parliament. So no matter where you might live in Canada, you have a local member of Parliament. What I'm doing is writing all current Conservative Party members of Parliament with a short positive letter to encourage them and remind them about what is in their policy declaration. Some might ask, well, should we write letters to the Liberal Party and the NDP Party as well? You can. You're more than welcome to do that. But certainly in the past 10 years, we've seen that no positive change to firearm law is going to come from a Liberal or NDP government, that's for sure. And if you do send letters to them, at least in this situation, asking for more common sense gun laws, I think your letters are going to fall on deaf ears. So while I wouldn't discourage you from doing that, I think let's be real with the reality of what's going to happen, okay? But absolutely, if we write letters to the Conservative Party, I think we have a very sincere friend with them. So, how to write your members of Parliament? Well, number one, it's free. If you address an envelope to Member of Parliament Jane Doe, House of Commons, Ottawa, Ontario, and the postal code, it ships free, okay? Number two, in your letter to the members of Parliament, be brief, positive, and personal. I'm going to read you a few lines out of the letter that I've written. So for example, Member of Parliament Jane Doe, greetings, my name is so-and-so. I'm a card-carrying Conservative Party member from Niagara, Ontario. Also, I'm a licensed hunter and sport shooter. And I put a picture of my CPC membership card and a QR code to a video I'll tell you about in a minute. So I said, I'm reaching out to you today to voice my support for our leader, Poilievre's promise to respect law-abiding firearms owners. Yada, 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 yada. QR code link above to see one of Poilievre's YouTube videos. There it is. All the Member of Parliament has to do is take out their phone. Oh, there's the video of Poilievre speaking about this. I said, for decades, Liberal governments have prohibited hunting and sporting firearms simply because of the way they look, not based on function. This unnecessarily punishes licensed firearms owners and needs to be changed. I support the CPC policy declaration on firearms. In fact, CPC policy number 127 says, a Conservative government would streamline firearms classification by adopting the simplified classification system. I support the simplified classification system and ask that it be adopted and passed into law promptly after we win a majority Conservative government in 2025. I've mailed a copy of this letter to all current CPC MPs. Let's bring it home. My name and information, redacted out on this paper just for illustration purposes in the video. So that's the letter, and right at the time of the making of this video, there is currently 119 elected Conservative members of Parliament. That will obviously change after the next election when we win, likely in 2025. So right here, as you can see, 119 addressed envelopes, all addressed by hand on the outside, and I'm going to use adhesive labels for the return address, so just so I'm not, writing the fine print up in the top every single time, because it is labor intensive. This wasn't too bad. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing to help bring this home. I'm really hoping to see this simplified classification system become a reality here in Canada in a couple of years, I'm hoping. I really do think that we're going to win a strong majority Conservative government in 2025. I'm really looking forward to that. And guys, the whole point of this video is this. If you didn't get it already, write your MPs, not just your local member of Parliament, write all Conservative members of Parliament with a simple, brief, positive letter, reminding them, hey, this is actually in the CPC's policy declaration. Poilievre has promised he's going to implement that. I support that. I'm a licensed law-abiding firearms owner. Looking forward to winning, looking forward to supporting you, and bringing home a more common sense, brighter future for us all. Folks, thanks for watching this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment below, and gotta keep our land glorious and free. Let's bring it home.